What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and this is a review on the re-released Crimson Enforce Marauder. So I'm really excited that Amazon has put these for sale again, and there will definitely be a buy link in the description box below for where you can purchase this. Now they have the Crimson Edition, which is the more rare version of the Marauder. It came in Crimson and in the typical black and yellow scheme that most of the Enforce line was released in. And these things are super hard to find used in this kind of condition. Obviously this is brand new and perfect condition, but it's hard to find these in anywhere close to decent condition used. Most of the time the tips are broken off. These are broken sometimes, so it's really cool that you can buy these new again, and it's cool that they've decided to release the Crimson version, as it's probably my favorite of the two colors. So these are probably not going to be quite as rare as they used to be, which is, I guess, a good or a bad thing depending on your point of view, but they are super comfortable, super well made melee swords, and definitely the best of all the Enforce line in my opinion, in terms of something you can actually use in melee with. I mean, and it's just an awesome looking sword. So a brief history on Enforce. I remember when I showed some Enforce stuff in my Naptown Nerf thrifting video that somebody was like, it's not Enforce, it's In Strike. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you. The melee swords were in a line called Enforce. In Strike is the blaster line. Enforce is the melee weapon line, and this is got a really cool logo. You can't really see it on here, but it's Enforce, Honor, and Valor. And it has a sword down the middle. I always thought it was a really cool logo, and I don't really understand why they stopped making melee weapons. I assume they were fairly successful, and they just kind of stopped making them. They re-released the Vantage sword in the Zombie Strike line, which is definitely the worst of the swords. It's more flimsy and just not super effective. I'll show you guys some of the line. I have a few here next to me and kind of give you a little bit of history of Enforce if you're not familiar with it. So this is the Marauder in the black and yellow, and as you can see, it's pretty beat up, and these are kind of cracking. So that stuff can happen. Like, these are very durable, but when you use them and beat them against each other, obviously things are going to break and wear down over time, and if you hit trees and stuff like that, you know, it's going to break eventually, but they are very strong and they will last a long time. So I think it's a very well-made sword, and I don't know if they've upgraded anything on the newer version, but the only thing that I really noticed a difference is that this seems a little slicker to me, the paint, but that might just be because it's brand new. But it definitely is a very, very nice sword. So this is what the first version of the Marauder looked like, and then they came out with the Crimson Edition, so pretty cool. So two of the other really popular weapons in the Enforce line was the Warlock Axe and the Battlemaster Mace, and these are definitely really cool. And I don't know if Amazon is going to sell other weapons in that line, or if they're going to come out with new weapons, but I think that these two are pretty sweet and would love to see these re-released. But I found these, I think, on Facebook Marketplace a while back. They're in reasonably okay condition, but obviously they're not in like brand new condition. But really cool weapons that were in that Enforce line. So hopefully if the Marauder does really well, then maybe they'll come out with some other ones. That's kind of my hope. Anyways, I think it's really cool that they've come back out with this sword, and it is definitely the best of the options in the Enforce line in terms of actual melee use. So Nerf has done melee weapons still, and I know a lot of those things are in the Zombie Strike line, but nothing that's super effective for actual melee play. Really, the last thing that was somewhat effective was the Zombie Strike sword, which is the Vantage sword, just different colors. So this is the version of the Enforce sword. It was a blue and gray, really nice. This is a nice sword, but definitely not up to the standards of the Marauder. I mean, you can just see size-wise that it is just much larger, much stronger, and just way more effective of a melee weapon. Not to mention, it gives you the ability to hold with both hands. So if you're not aware, this is a completely foam sword. It is a relatively dense foam, but it's definitely safe, I feel, for melee, as long as you're being responsible with it and not over swinging it, and you know, anything's gonna hurt if you swing hard enough, right? But it does have a plastic core inside of it, which you could see was kind of coming out of the older version of the Marauder, and that is probably the biggest downside to these, is these tips tend to break off and then show that plastic core. So at that point, then it could be possibly not as safe. But all in all, I think these are a great sword. I highly recommend them. They're $25 retail on Amazon, and I'm assuming they probably will have some sales here over the holidays. So more so, this was an informative video to let you guys know that the Enforce Marauder Crimson Edition is back for sale on Amazon. It is a great sword. I highly recommend it if you're into melee, and would highly recommend picking one up, because we don't know how long those are going to be for sale, if they're going to continue re-releasing other Enforce weapons, or if this is going to just be something that's kind of for sale through Christmas and then stop. So I like this thing a lot. I'm super excited I was able to pick one up brand new, and I highly recommend you do the same. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review / PSA of the Enforce Marauder. Smash that like button, please subscribe, and as always, peace out.